Give your sister your penthouse as a wedding gift. My father said into the mic, his voice booming over the candeliers. City poured 200 guests froze meat toast. My mother smiled in a flicker, Charlotte blanket. Pretending to be surprised, I stood there holding my glass, every eye burning into me. The music had stopped. Someone whispered my name. Then a man I would never seen before rose from the crowd and said calm but sharp, touch her assist again and you will lose years. The whole went silent. My father joked. Before I tell you the rest, tell me where are you listening from so I know I'm not alone. I used to think silence kept the peace, that if I smiled at the night moments, nodded at the night times, and never let my voice shake, my family would finally see me as one of their own. But peace built no silence, crack fast, especially in a house like yours. My parents loved appearances. My mother, Carol, believed perfection could be like centerpieces, carefully trimmed, polished, and show off to the wall. My father, Richard, lived for a pride. Charlotte was their masterpiece, the one who could do no wrong, and me, I was the lamb item they could not brag about. You could not afford to lose. When people asked about my job, my mother would laugh lightly and say, Isabella worked somewhere in finance. I think she never mentioned that I was vice president of a specific department, that my signature could move me millions. To a success only counted if it came with his house band attached. Charlotte, on the other hand, did not need to earn her shine. She was soft-spoken, radiant, the perfect daughter. She would call me her big sister in front of guests like it was an accessory, a sweet pop to make her look humble. I played along for years. I founded the little things that kept our family image intact. Paid off a mortgage when my father's deal went to sideways. Wired money to mom for emergency bills, and even transferred 50,000 to help cover Charlotte's wedding. They never asked what twice. They just accepted like it was my duty. The week before the wedding, my father pulled me aside. You will sit at the front, he said. Your family, of course. Just remember it's Charlotte's day. Keep things simple. Simple, I left late alone in my car. He had no idea what simple meant. When I arrived at the rehearsal dinner, the lights glowed soft gold over wild roses. Everything was perfect, designed for photographs. My mother confused over Charlotte's bill. My father shook hands with investors more than relatives. I stood by the bar, unnoticed, invisible again. Then Charlotte turned her smile, Sargosa sweet. Isa, thank you again for helping us with the expenses. She said loudly enough for a few tables to hear. I felt the sitting in the ward happy. My father needed approvingly, that was how they liked it. Public graduate that sounded generous but made me smile. Still, I told myself it did not matter. I would show up, sit quietly, play my part, one more night, one more performance. I did not know that behind their polished smiles, my family had written me into the program of the wedding as the opening act, sacrificed to make their perfect day complete. The morning of the wedding shimmered with that kind of sunlight that makes everything look innocent, but underneath the flowers and champagne chillers, I could feel something wrong pulsing through the day. My gut always knew before my mind did. I arrived at the hotel ballroom early. The skin of white lies too heavy in the air, stubborn like bass, draping fabric polishing glasses. My mother's voice cut through it all, sharp commanding, make sure Charlotte's bouquet faces the left side. Her profile photographs better, it was not request, it never was. I was walking past the reception table when I noticed him, a man standing completely still, watching. He wore a cheryl grey suit and light flecked with silver. His posture calm, but deliberate, he did not look like any of the guests. When his eyes met mine, I froze. He gave a polite nod, then said quietly, be careful what they announced today. Be careful what they announced today. His gun was swaying. It almost sounded kind. Then he turned and disappeared into the bustle, leaving a chill behind him that clung to my skin. For a moment, I wondered if I would imagine it, but then my phone buzzed in my hand. A text from an unknown number. They will take what's your tonight. Don't lose it. The words punched through my chest. I looked around, but no one was paying attention. My father was laughing with a group near the bar. My mother was adjusting Charlotte's train. Guests arrived in waves of perfume and noise. I stepped out to the corridor, heart racing my penthouse. One thing that I was entirely mine, every payment, every sleepless night, every deal that built it brick by brick. It could not be that, could it? Just then, I heard my parents burst through the half open door of a side room. I should not have stopped, but I did. My father's tone was low measured. During the toast, we will make the announcement. It will make Charlotte's gift unforgettable. My mother chuckled softly, and Isabella one door they refused. Too many cameras, too many witnesses, pride can be useful. Charlotte's bus came next, hesitant but pleased. Are you sure she will be okay with it? My mother's reply was syrup over poison. She doesn't need that space. She has her work. You deserve a home. The blood drained from my face. They were not just proud, they were planning it to take what I built and prayed it as a gesture of sisterly love. I pressed my back against the cold wall. Every muscle stiff. The cylinder light spilled across the marble floor inside the room, dancing on their smiles. I did not step in, not yet, because for the first time in my life, I was not the one who would react, I was the one who would remember. I went back to my suite without a word. The hallway smelled like roses and expensive mugs. Inside the air felt different still, expectant, like the pause before a storm. I set my phone down on the counter, opened the drawer where I kept a single folder, document statements, payments, ownership proofs, every number, every signature. Every piece of paper that tied that penthouse to me. I sat on the edge of the bed, starting at the end. 10 years of work compressed into ink and lines. My parents did not build that home. They did not stay up to their time zones or chase contracts that nearby broke me. They only knew how to spend what they never earned. I forwarded the documents to my lawyer with one line. Be ready at 8 p.m. Ballroom, a number explanation, no emotion. Then I changed into deep navy dress, clean, structured, unshakable. I wasn't going to blend in anywhere. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized the woman starting back. My reflection looked calm, but beneath it was a blade waiting to be drawn. I fixed the diamond earring I would once bought to celebrate a deal that saved an entire department. That night, they would serve a different purpose. A reminder of who was before they tried to take it away downstairs. The ballroom was already filling, the clinking for glasses, the hum of conversation, the soft strings playing in the background. It was all so polished, it made me sick. I moved through the crowd unnoticed, my heels tapping softly on the tile. A quote fragment of gossip. Charlotte's wedding is perfect. Such a classy family. Sybil looks tense. They had no idea what was about to happen. Charlotte greeted by in her gown glowing under the lights. I'm so glad you two came. She said sweetly, her hand brushing my arm like we are equals. I almost smiled, almost. Moments later, my father clapped his hands for attention. Everyone, please take your seats for the toast. My stomach tightened. It was almost time. I moved toward the corner table, the one who, with the clearest view of the stage. The guest quieted, waiting for whatever grand announcement he would prepare. He had just the mic, scanning the room, pride radiating from every inch of him. They stood beside him, glowing with satisfaction. I felt my pulse. She did not raise. Whatever they were about to do, I was ready. I lifted my glass just enough to mark the finest smile. If they wanted a performance, they were about to get one, just not to version they rehearsed. The sound of the crystal against glass ranged out across the ballroom. Three sharp taps that silence through the hum of the music and chatter. My father stood center stage, and on the microphone, his silver cufflinks glinting beneath in the chandeliers. Before dinner begins, he said, smiling wide, I would like to say a few words about family. And the crowd quieted instantly. Fox hovered mid-air. Charlotte stood beside him, the train of her gown skidding like a small river of white silk. My mother touched her shoulder tenderly, that performative affection she would perfected long ago. I stayed seated a few tables away, watching. I already knew that I was coming, but the human brain always clings to the smallest hope that maybe, just maybe, you misunderstood. My father's voice deepened a family strength. His seat is measured not by what we keep, but by what we share. The grip tightened around my wine glass, the crystal stem pressed into my palm, and tonight he counted, by sweeping the crowd. We have something extraordinary to celebrate. My eldest daughter Isabel has decided to give her sister. He paused for dramatic effect. Her penthouse is a wedding gift. The word dropped like a grenade. Applause broke out before I could even breathe. I heard gasp, rather a few cheers someone shouted. That's incredible. Cameras flashed, capturing the moment that was supposed to make me look generous, obedient, harmless. My father declared it into the mic before 200 guests. I thought, and I froze. I did not stutter, I did not speak. For 3 endless seconds, I couldn't move. The air thickened, and the smell of champagne turning sour. Charlotte pressed a manicured hand to her mouth, eyes wide with fake surprise. My father smiled glowed with victory. Isabella, my father said warmly, come join us up here. Sweetheart, say a few words. 100 heads turned toward me. I could feel the head of every stare waiting for me to smile to play along. Instead, I took a slow sip of wine. The glass trembled violently, slightly in my hand. My father's grin felt tired. Come on, darling. He coaxed the microphone, amplifying his career. Don't be shy. The music had stopped. My heart had not. And then a chair scraping against marble. At the far end of the room, a man stood up. The same man from that morning, the one with the silver fleck tie. His voice was calm, low, but carried through every corner of that glittering hall. Touch your assist again, he said, and you will lose yours. The entire room froze. Silence felt so hard, it felt physical. My father's face drained of color. My mother blanket, unsure whether to be angry or afraid. Charlotte clutched her bucket, starting at the stranger, began walking forward each step, echoing like a gobble stick. Williams Carter, he said, pulling a sleek card from his jacket. Sea of cotton, financial. The mummers begin instantly gasp whispers. People shifted in their seats. My father stumbled back half a step, recognition flashing in his eyes. I believe you know my company, William continued. We've been working closely with your daughter for 3 years now. The penthouse you were attempting to climb in this little announcement. He raised an eyebrow is part of her legal compensation package. It's protected by anti-consultation clauses under the executive contract. I could hear my mother's shaky breath from across the room. She reached for my father's arm, whispering something frantic. William's voice never wavered. What happened here tonight, he said, was a public attempt at assist seizure, and it's being live streamed to about 10,000 viewers right now. Heads turned toward to nearby table where a cousin from the groom's side, his phone popped up. The red recording light glowed like an accusation. My father tried to recover his laugh, forced betrayal. This is all a misunderstanding, he said, a family joke perhaps taken too seriously. William's expression hardened, a joke that includes coercion, public humiliation, and false claims of property transfer. He turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the what explosion looked like when he dressed up as family laugh. The family erupted into a whisper. A few guests rose from their seats. Others stared at me with new eyes, curiosity mixing with shame. My father's business partner, Mr. Peterson, stood up, his face pale. Richard, he said sharply, I invested in your company because I believed in your ethics. After this, Peterson Industries is suspending all collaboration effective immediately. Then Mrs. William from Logistic spoke up. Same here. We don't work with abuser. And finally, David Kim, my father's oldest associate, added quietly but firmly. Neither do we. My father's hand gripped the make stand like it was the only thing keeping him upright. Charlotte was crying now, soft, confused sobs that did not quite reach her eyes. Dad, make it stop. She whispered, but it was already too late. The house of cards and collapsed. I stood slowly, the noise around me dissolving into low hum. You wanted a spectacle, I said, but steady. You got one. My mother turned toward me, her expression cracking. Isabella, please, she missed. You are humiliating us. I took a step closer, my heels sharp against the marble. No, mother, you did that yourself. William handed her the microphone. Perhaps Mrs. Hess would like to explain her behavior for the record, he said evenly. She shook her head, trembling. You can't do this, she whispered. I already did, I said. The crowd erupted again. Some gasped, others murmured approval. I saw phones rise according, catching every second of my family's unraveling. My father's voice cracked. To the church, enough. This is our private matter. I made his eyes, made it public. The silence that flowed was colder than any scream. I don't need to say more. William placed a gentle hand on my shoulder, leading me toward the exit. Behind us, my father's sob rose. My father shouted something I did not care to hear, and Charlotte's wedding day turned into a live broadcast of consequence. As the ballroom doors closed, I heard the last sound, a single glass shattering on the floor. Outside, the mud air hit my skin like truth. I looked up at the city skyline, the reflection of my penthouse glittering in the distance. For the first time, I felt its wall were not cage, but armor. William stopped beside me. Are you all right? He asked quietly. I exhaled. I am now, he nodded. You handled that better than most would. I looked back at the glowing door of the ballroom. No, I said softly. I just finally stopped apologizing. We stood there for a moment, two strangers bound by justice. Then he offered his card again. When we are ready, he said, I would like to discuss something bigger. I did not ask what. I already knew this was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of theirs. And behind us, the hall that once celebrated my silence had fallen completely. Irreversibly silent. By the next morning, the clip had gone viral. 1 minute of footage, my father's announcement, my father's slept. My mother slept, William's voice cutting through. The shows calculated across every platform before sunrise. Headlines called it the wedding scandal that shattered a family. My inbox overflowed with messages from strangers thanking me for standing up for women who'd been told for years to keep peace at their own expenses. Meanwhile, the fallout for my parents was swift and brutal. Peterson, Williams, and Kim all withdrew their contracts, and the company's stock dropped by half in 48 hours. My father's apology video suite die hollow. Ice was dismissed as damaged control. My mother went online claiming she had been manipulated only to be drawn by thousands of comments, calling her out for the slap everyone had seen in crystal clarity. Charlotte's perfect marriage unraveled before it began. Her husband's family backed out, unwilling to attach their name to the wreckage. I stayed silent through it all. I did not need to defend myself. The truth had already done that for me. When William called offer me a seat on Carter Financial's board, I said yes, not for revenge, but for direction. Because for the first time, I was no longer surviving my family. I was rebuilding myself. Weeks later, I stood by the floor to ceiling windows of my penthouse, the city lights flickering like quiet applied. The same glass walls they tried to take from me now reflected everything I would earn. Freedom, clarity, peace. On the shelf beside me sat a firm photo of my grandmother, her handwritten note beneath it. Don't let them take your light. I smiled, they had not. They never would. If we ever had to stand alone at a table full of people who call it family. Know this, you are not alone. Share a story below and hit subscribe. The next story might be yours.